of development. Before Garvey, there was no red, black, and green. Garvey came and gave them the red, black, and green. We give them God for greater than Garvey is here. You know what I'm saying? 925, Garvey gave the black American open pride with red, black, and green. We come and give the green, gold, and red with the lion, man. Strength, a purpose.
Bless, bless, bless. You are now tuned into the Promise Key. I am your host, Kushite Selassie, and we are here once again with Elder Pharaoh Rameses El-Aton. Peace, Elder. How are you today?
All right, I'm doing great, brethren. One love.
One love, man. One love. Today we just gonna have a free-flow conversation on the history of Rastafari in America, because one of the main reasons I made this channel is so that we would, like Rastas here who are born in America, ones who didn't have any West Indian background or have like somebody in our family with that connection, we sighted Rastafari by ourselves, or we ran into it by ourselves without any influence, so to speak. So this channel started as a voice for us, as a sense. So today, this is a topic that I've been wanting to do for a really long time, and we're gonna discuss the history of Rastafari, when it hit America, the influence it brought, and how it still influences the culture, Black culture today. And today we have a powerful guest, one of the front runners. One of the ones who paved the way for us to call us in America to call ourselves Rastafari, so that we can hold our banner. Now it's time for us to show our tribal flag and break down our history. Because whenever you hear anybody talk about Rastafari, it's always the history in Jamaica, which not that is not important, but it's like we forget the aspects that inspired. Like Ethiopianism, which began in Harlem. If it wasn't, not to sound uppity for us up here, if it wasn't for Ethiopianism, I like to post the question: would Leonard Howell have had the same incentive to build what we have now? That is my question. That's the question I'm posing to you to start us off.
Leonard Howell?
Yes, sir.
Well, the history always was an international history. So over the years, that kind of got lost. So the connection with Rasta in Jamaica, Leonard Howell gets a lot of respect, but the connection came from Marcus Garvey. Because when Marcus Garvey said, "Look to the east, where a black king shall be crowned, for the day of redemption is near," and then they seen His Majesty get crowned, they said this must be the person that Garvey prophesied. So the connection came through Marcus Garvey, right?
Right.
So that was really the main connection to Rasta as far as in Jamaica. And Marcus Garvey was a Jamaican. So a lot of brothers in Jamaica was following whatever Marcus Garvey was teaching, and that's how they came across that. Because at that time in Jamaica, there was 3 different groups. There was these brothers that wore black all the time, and they was heavy into the Bible. There was some brothers in the hills that had ran away from slavery that had dreadlocks that was still living natural. Then there was some Garveyites. So it was 3 different groups. So when His Majesty got crowned, like magically, those 3 different groups formulated into one. So because the ones in the hills, along with the Garveyites, but the ones that wore the black knew the Bible. So the ones that wore the black that was heavy into the religion, they was the ones that seen the ones in the hills and told them that hell you got is right here in Numbers chapter 6. So it was like a correlation of Pan-Africanism with the knowledge of black people being the Hebrew Israelites, with the natural living of the brothers and sisters that had ran back up in the hills when they was fighting slavery, because when they ran back up in the hills, they started dealing with the herbs. They started recognizing different herbs that they remember from Africa and all of that. So then Leonard Howell and Paul Bogle and all them, they just all played one big part. It was like, that's why I said whether it wasn't planned or you can't put it on one thing, because it was almost like magical, right? And it was all really formulated off His Majesty getting crowned.
Thank you for that. Now, that's each, matter of fact, before I get into that, the three sects that you broke down in Jamaica, the elders that were in the mountains with the dreadlocks.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that would be the chapter? Would you say that would be like the foundation of the ones where, I know you heard of Muta Baruch before and how he talks of the elders where he went into the mountains, where when he said these were elders who couldn't write, they couldn't read, but all they knew, but they based their experience on how they interact with nature.
Right.
So would you say those are the rosters that he was talking about? The early what we would call what I would call the early Bingies before they took on the name Naya Bingi?
Kind of, sort of, but not really, because you really don't have nothing until all three segments come together. You really don't have nothing. You just got some brothers just living in the hills, right? Because they didn't have no concept of the Back to Africa movement or what Garvey was doing. So really, there really was no roster until His Majesty got crowned.
Right.
When His Majesty got crowned, that's when magically everything formulated. See what I'm saying? So then the mixture of the three became Rastafari, the movement. And then everybody fell in line with that. Because
now,
because the ones that knew the Bible, when they seen the ones in the hills, and then they started looking at their hair, and then they listening to Garvey, and then they see His Majesty, and they say conquering line of the tribe of Judah, they go to the Bible and say, oh man. So that's how it like all formulated into one thing. It wasn't like planned or nobody had no control of it. That's why Rasta, we say, it say Christ shall come in a new name. Rasta is the new Christians, the real Christians of the day. But nobody really, it happened magically. Like nobody put it together. It just happened.
A new name shall guide them.
Yeah, it just happened.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Because it was also happening in the Virgin Islands and Trinidad too. So that movement was growing in the Virgin Islands and Trinidad. But the reason Jamaica got so much props is because Mortimer Planter and them started teaching the youth that was musicians and started teaching Bob and Peter and them how to play this music and form reggae music. So that's how Jamaica got in the forefront. With my elder, I lived with in Compton. Kojo, that's why you hear in Black Uhuru, Naya Bingi, Kojo is coming. Kojo and them was the ones taught Bob and them. But Bob and them was musicians, so they started to put it into music. Because, Mortimer Planter wrote Sadama Sagana and a lot of Bob Marley songs.
Right. Haile Selassie the Chapel is the one he's most recognized for.
Yeah, so then the music is what made Jamaica be in the forefront.
Now I'm gonna get off topic a little bit because this is something I've always wanted to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
In your time, from then till now, have you ever ran across any West Indians who kind of looked at you a certain way because you were from America?
Well, the early roster, they didn't do that. So a lot of people don't know that the early roster, the roster that came up here to the United States in the late and during the 70s, and the ones that I first came in contact with, they didn't do that because they didn't consider themselves Jamaicans. They considered themselves Ethiopians. So they didn't really claim Jamaica. They claimed Ethiopia. And so those rosters then, you couldn't call them Jamaicans. So when I came in this, you couldn't call roster no Jamaican. Because he gonna tell you, man, I trade no little island, no continent for no little island.
Facts.
So that was an insult to call them Jamaicans. The ones that started leaning towards Jamaica was the ones that got into it because of the music. See, by the time you get to the mid 80s and the music started getting popular and the girls started liking, because at first the women didn't like men with dreadlocks. But as everybody's locks started getting long and the music started getting popular, now everybody want to be a Rasta. So
Facts.
people start coming into it based off of the music. So then this is when the type of island vibe started to happen. But typically, out of 100 rosters I would meet from Jamaica, it'll only be maybe one or two that might act funny, but most rosters wasn't acting funny.
Right.
Most of the rosters typically will act funny with a African American roster if he don't act African American. If he try to act Jamaican, that's where they look at you crazy.
Okay.
Because they only want to deal with you as an African American. They don't want to deal with you as no fake Jamaican. So that's why I was so beloved, because I was always just a brother from Chicago. So all the brothers from Jamaica, they like me. But this is the thing, that in those days, their parents came to America and their parents looked down on them for being rosters. So the rosters used to take me to their house so their mama could see me and say, look, mama, American roster. So that then their mama would say, okay, I guess it's cool then.
Wow.
Straight up.
So in some aspect, we kind of made it okay.
Up here in America, because their parents, you got to understand, Jamaicans didn't like Rasta. That's why Rasta was Jamaica. My elders, they couldn't come to town. They would kill them, throw them in the gully. They couldn't buy shoes. That's why they started making their own clothes and belts and stuff. They couldn't buy shoes. They couldn't buy clothes. They couldn't come to town. They would get abused and beat. So they didn't have a Jamaican concept. Jamaicans didn't start accepting Rasta until there was money to be made off of reggae. When the money started being made off of reggae, all these Jamaicans started taking Rasta vernacular. One love, soon come, I and I. Jamaicans wasn't talking like that. Only Rasta talked like that. But when the reggae got popular, then all the Jamaicans did like a fake Rasta type thing. So then when you meet those kind, they really wasn't coming into it based off of Africa. So then they be on some tribal stuff, Jamaican and American, but they really didn't come into it off of the roots of Rasta. So a lot of African Americans, they don't know all that. So they shouldn't say nothing about Rasta don't like them because they don't know the history. Rasta love us. These are reggae-ites. Those reggae-ites. These are people that's really not following the concept of Rasta. because His Majesty's pilot was an African American. The Black Eagle flew his plane from him. He came from right here in Illinois, right near Chicago. And the movement was the Abyssinian Church was in New York, and they were sending African Americans to Ethiopia to fight and Jamaicans to Ethiopia to fight.
Yeah,
So
I remember that.
Yeah, there was a one unity. There wasn't all this. There wasn't all of that tribalism when I came into it. It wasn't none of that. That wasn't tolerated.
I'm glad you mentioned that about them sending African Americans over there to help fight, to help defend Ethiopia. That was one of the main times of Ethiopianism during the time of that. Wasn't that during the time of when the Ethiopian World Federation was founded?
No, that was the time when they were doing the invasion, when they was fighting Mussolini.
Yeah.
He went to help His Majesty fight. So he went to help His Majesty fight. So they was recruiting them from the Abyssinian Church in New York and sending them over there to fight any black man that would go.
That's what's up.
Right.
Sometimes I think I was born in the wrong time zone. Wrong era.
No, I mean, every era needs somebody, so it's a reason you're born now. And a lot of times you don't know your mission because your mission ain't necessarily now. So like, one thing, it'll throw you off. Like you'll look around now and it won't make no sense. But then your mission might not be for another 20 years. It might be 20 years from now before you find out why you was called. The people that you here for, they might not even be born yet.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
That's respect. Now, let's dive into some history.
Right.
When did Rastafari hit Chicago?
Rastafari hit Chicago in the mid to late 70s when I was in high school. When I was in high school, Rastafari hit Chicago because a lot of Jamaicans, back in the 50s, they always going to England. But in the 70s, they start coming to America. And they bring their youth with them, and some of their youth was Rastas. Okay. So they was here by default. They came with their parents. They didn't really come on their own. They was up here with their mom and dad and stuff like that. So when they came up here, of course, you're going to try to get together and hang with each other because mainly you're the only ones cook the way y'all eat. So people going to always do that. If you're from Thailand, you come here, you're going to try to find some food, some Thailand food. So it ain't that they was no separatists or nothing. You come from Jamaica, you're trying to find out who got the aki, who got the kalaloo, who cooked the food the way you used to cooking it. So they brought their sons with them, and their sons and stuff was Rastas. At the same time, the reggae music is starting to catch on. Bob Marley is starting to be played on regular black radio stations before he died. So now they're starting to have parties. They're starting to have reggae shows and parties and stuff like that. So it really started growing, 78, 79, and there, that's when Rasta really started taking off with the music. The music is what carried it up here in the United States.
All right. Now, when it comes let's touch back on a little bit on about these reggae acts and how they feel about how they feel about American Rastas, how they feel like we're kind of stiff, like we swagger jacking a little. When I actually sat down and talked with one, now he's not a Rasta, but he was both like you said, his parents were Rasta,
right?
And he happened to be raised over here,
right?
So to him, when I asked him, why is it that y'all look down on us until y'all actually either say something to us and we actually, until y'all actually like do some kind of credential check or basically G-check me in a sense. And until they do that, they don't pay attention to anything I say until I say something that fits the criteria of which they believe a Rastafari is supposed to be. Which means if he don't, let's say I run into one with a real biblical aspect. Now I'm not a biblical Rasta. So if I start saying something against the Bible, he may not even look at me as an actual Rasta. You know what I'm saying? But when I asked him that, he said the reason why was because of a little bit of a underlying sense of back in the day where West Indians didn't like American black people, and it kind of stems from that too.
He don't know he young, so he just talking.
Okay.
The fact is this: when you talk about Rasta in the real sense, Rasta, you don't have no unified beliefs. So anybody that say that, this is how you know everybody not necessarily don't know Rasta, they just be kind of talking. With Rasta, you don't have no particular beliefs. Just His Majesty, Africa for the African, and herb for the healing of the nation. I'm the only three.
Facts.
You don't have to be in the Bible. You don't have to do none of that. None of that is Rasta. Rasta is an individual thing. So Rasta is, we love the king because he let us do our own thing. Rasta is about you doing your own thing. It's not about that. Now, Jamaicans get a bad rap. The reason Jamaicans don't like us because they got treated messed up when they came here. See, all the problem between Jamaicans and Africans and us, it don't come from the adults. It comes from the kids at school, man. So when I played in the reggae band, I played with the older brothers. It was a group of Rasta brothers, group called Nyakoma. And the younger brothers was still in grade school, still went to school. And they used to get treated real bad at school. Because you got to understand, in the 70s, 79, 80, nobody knew what dreadlocks was. So African Americans treated me bad. African Americans wasn't nice to me when I had dreadlocks. Not at all. I had to get out on a couple of brothers because they didn't know what it was, and they try to joke on you and stuff. So, but when I started talking, it kind of leveled things out. Now imagine if you got an accent. So when the Africans and the brothers from the Caribbean came here, they didn't have no problem with the adults. They didn't like us because their children was coming home from school saying the kids was teasing them. Mm-hmm. The kids was calling them African booty scratcher, banana boat man, and all this. Mm-hmm. So it was through the children that made them despise African Americans because the African American kids is teasing their children. That's where it all really came from. It didn't really come from the adults because the adults didn't have enough contact to not like each other. The only ones that had the type of contact that would make you not like is the kids. So the African brothers and sisters, because back in the day when they came here, most of the Africans and Caribbean started coming here in the 70s. That's at the highlight of signifying. That's at the highlight of your mama jokes. And I mean, it was rough. It was rough. And so you could only imagine, and so if you're a brother from the Caribbean, okay, if you're African American, if you're in class with me and I crack on you and we laugh, you're going to laugh it off, but we all the same. But if you was a Jamaican brother and I crack on you and we all laugh, it's going to feel like it's us against you, which it really ain't. But how would you know? Because you're not from here. So you're going to take it a little more harder. So that's how the division became with the African Americans, the Africans, and the Caribbeans. I come from school. The young brethren, you would come and they had a hard time in school, they would tell me, Rameses, man, up in school, they called me all type of thing, man. They talk about my hair, all of that. And they did me the same way, but me being African American, you know, I talk crazy back to, you know, the African Americans and check them.
Sure.
But, see what I mean? But imagine if I'm from Jamaica, I would have really felt horrible.
Damn. See, I never even looked at it like that.
Nobody didn't know that. So that's how they got like that. Same with the Mexicans. The Mexicans used to get robbed for their dope and stuff. So that's why they don't like us. People had bad experiences when they came here. We not really innocent.
No, we far from innocent.
No, we're not innocent. We got a lot to do with the reason that different blacks don't like us.
But still, though, to welcome the white boy before you welcome us, before you welcome us.
Well,
welcome them. You'll see them all over Jamaica beating drums with white. You'll see them all over Jamaica beating drums with the white roster. No disrespect to any white roster. I'm growing. If everybody's been paying attention to my videos, I've been growing.
The thing is, when you see them, they don't represent roster. They just represent them. So like when you see an African American here smiling at the white man, they don't represent us. That's him doing that. Yeah. So a lot of times when we see them do something, we generalize, right? Okay. But when you see like a lot of rosters, they didn't like him beating that drum down there like that. Them rosters didn't like that. The reason that William was allowed to beat that drum and his wife is because it was some bad boy gangsters with security. See that? People don't know the backstory of that. All around them was gunmen. And they was the unofficial security for the prince and the princess. And so you couldn't tell them don't get on the drums. You would have got shot. A lot of people don't know that. It was some gangster stuff behind that. That wasn't roster. That was some tourist stuff.
Dang. Boy, the Queen Hell, ain't you? Damn. See, this is why we need talks like this. Because I've been going off on my last few videos. I've been going off on stuff like that. I dogged Jamaica over that stuff.
Right.
Over that thing.
See, and that was the thing, me coming up, I'm around so many positive brethren that when I run into one call me a Yankee, I mean, that's just him.
But that be the thing that hurt the most. I'm gonna take it back a little bit. Your video yesterday. The fact because I grew up being called a mophead.
Right.
I understood why you were so incensed. But most of the younger rosters now, they're in high school now. They're not used to the term. The term to them is more it's literally like a joke.
Right.
So as a comparison, if baldhead if mophead was that offensive to you, them calling me a Yankee is really make me want to fight.
But see,
it make me ready to go to hell because you literally call me a white boy.
But see, it's not them, it's a person. So if I'm around a bunch of rosters and these is my brothers, and I'm around hundreds of rosters, they my brothers, and I run into one brother that call me a Yankee, I don't have the concept of no them. That's just dude. That's just dude. So I can't say, oh, a Jamaican rosters call me Yankee. No, they don't. Dude call me a Yankee. That's like me looking at Doggy Diamonds and saying New Yorkers.
Okay.
No, that's not New York. That's just him. So this is why I was beloved, because the brothers, I dealt with the brothers that dealt with me. Like the brothers was really cool. They're not really like that.
Right.
Rasta not really don't do that. That's a false. They run into somebody do that and they try to pin that on Rasta from Jamaica. They not like that. They don't do that. They don't do that type of stuff. To them, you're African born in America. He's an African born in Jamaica. He's an African born in Trinidad, like that. And then you have a few that be like doing tribalism. But typically, no. Because if you go look at any reggae band, it's all kind of people on stage playing with them. So, you all out there, it's a lot of generalizing going on. So you don't want to generalize. Brothers and sisters coming from Africa and they have a bad experience with one African American, then they say, those African Americans. And this is what keeps it going. People generalize. We generalize each other. And then it just spreads. It spreads like wildfire. So that's how this division just keeps spreading.
Sorry, y'all. I'm too far from the server. Country internet.
All right, cool. So what I'm saying is, let's say a brother come in from Africa and he run to an African American, have a bad experience. Then he said African Americans. Oh, that was just dude. So this is how this grows. It grows on both sides because we just generalize everybody off of their bad experience off of one person from that place. So then it grow and grow and grow and grow. Then we really believe we don't get along, but that's false.
All right.
That's not real.
Basically the same way. Basically how the Africans got a bad rep about them not liking us.
Yeah, that's not true. It's just some, but then they when one of them have a bad experience, then they go spread it with the rest of them, and then they believe it. So if an African have a bad experience with me, he go tell the other Africans, them African Americans, this and that, and they go, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then it just grow. And so it just keep growing on both sides. Jamaicans think we don't like them. We think we don't, and it just grow, and then we start buying into it. Then we really don't like each other. So we take like a fake dislike and we turn it to a real dislike. But it's a fake dislike. We just doing it off of fake rumors. That's how it be growing.
That's proper. That's proper.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I had this conversation with you, man, because that clears up a lot. I mean, and if I actually would have sat down and thought about it, I probably could have came to that conclusion. But it's kind of hard when you insulted, And then you've been insulted several times, or you've been G-checked several times when these ain't even rosters. I mean, the dude who tried to check me, hey, he was a bald head with a big old rum bottle. He couldn't even fix my. I met him at a food truck. He couldn't even fix my plate because he was so busy hugging that rum bottle.
Right.
And hell, I'm not even a drinker, so.
Right, I understand. But see, he had bad experiences with African Americans. That's all that's about. And when you're an African American roster, you have to just do your own thing. And you're a black man born in America and you're a roster, you just have to do your own thing. You have to have your own consciousness, your own way of thinking, your own thing. And it can't be based off of looking for approval. You can't look for approval. You just do your thing. But you have to meet a lot of people before you could really see what it's like, what it's really all about.
Okay, Elder. We're gonna cut this short because I'm not gonna keep fighting. I'm not gonna keep fighting with this box or whatever. So, and I'm not gonna waste, and I'm not gonna waste, and I'm no longer gonna waste your time nor the viewers. So we're gonna cut this up. We're gonna cut this episode short.
You're not really wasting my time. You can ask questions. If you go out, I'll just keep talking to you back. You know.
All right. If you're fine with it.
Yeah, if
You're
ask
fine
me
with
a question and you go out, I'll keep talking to the audience till you log back in.
That's proper. Appreciate you.
All right.
Now, the next part of this, when it get what are the other than the job, because that was one of the main problems we had as American rosters when it came to our tribulations. Because a lot of things I've also heard when it comes down to like West Indians these so-called West Indian rosters who don't like us. They put forth the fact that they say we didn't go through any kind of struggle for us to be able to call ourselves that. So let's break down all the trials and tribulations we had to go through over here in America, because things ain't sweet over here. I don't know where they got this whole, maybe these were the ones who got caught up in the American dream, since they lived a certain way in Jamaica. When they come up here, they expect us to be, like better off and stuff. So they see us as like ungrateful or whatever. Or I don't know, but let's talk. But let's break down more about the trials and tribulations that we went through over here as American rock. Because one of the main things was the fact that we couldn't get jobs. I remember me at 15 with locks. I couldn't get a job at nothing. If I could, unless it was like as a dishwasher, like in the back of a restaurant or something, when nobody could see me. And to a certain point, I had to wait till a certain time to be able to go up and bust tables, right?
Right.
Because they didn't want anybody to see somebody with his hair on my head working in the kitchen. Even though I had a hairnet, had my hair wrapped up and everything. They didn't like it in that atmosphere around that time. So let's talk more about those tribulations, those times.
Well, the person you talking to, if he wasn't a Rasta, he wouldn't know. All Rasta went through the same tribulation. Whether you came from Jamaica, whether you came from Trinidad, you came here, couldn't get no job. It was hard to find a woman that wanted cultural life, and it was a struggle to get food. You had to cook your food because you couldn't get food nowhere. So, you know, for the most part, a lot of people talk to, if they're from the Caribbean, about Rasta, they don't really have the information, so they give you false information.
Right. Because
I know Rastas from Jamaica dreadlocks in order to get a job to feed the kids. And the major difference between us and them is that when you leave Africa, you have African stores. Africans have their own stores. When you leave Jamaica, you got your stores. When you come here, we work for the system. We postmen, we firemen, we police, we work in municipals. So it's a totally different culture. So they come here, while we don't got stores, well, we work for a bank, or we work within the system. We don't come up like y'all do in y'all culture. But a lot of this stuff is just really misunderstanding. But the tribulation, the main tribulation we went through was not being able to get employment. Other than that, if you could find a way to make your own money, it really wasn't a whole lot of problems because this system is ran by whites, and the whites respect black strength. So they respect when you got your law. Not high, but they respect. They're not going to give you the same price they give a regular in America. They're going to hold you in a high regard. So, we didn't really go through nothing. The hardest thing was just employment. Everything else was basic.
What about school?
School?
Yeah. Now the public now in the public atmosphere the most problems I've heard when it comes down to dreadlocks in America was when people wanted to put their kids in private school, and they have to have a certain uniform look,
right,
and whatnot. But there's also been a lot of occasions in public schools too. Right. Me personally, I've had several times where they made announcements, where they tried to make announcements where they didn't want, this is in Ladder Elementary. They were going, you had to wear your pants a certain way because too many kids were sagging. I didn't have a problem with that. Nobody wants to see another dude's ass. Unless it was those dykes who wanted to be men. Excuse me, no disrespect. Unless it was those real hard females who tried to sag too, but for some reason they still wanted to wear their female underwear and whatnot. I didn't mind that, but they started that, and then they also wanted to make it so that you couldn't, that unless you were a female, you couldn't have a certain length of hair.
Right.
So that means, like, with me, I would have had to keep cutting my locks at a certain length. If it would have got past, like, a little past my ear, I would have had to chop them.
Right.
Like, see where I walk around like with the D.L. Hughley style all day.
Right. And that's the same thing. They just cut that young girl hair off, and they let the police go for that. So that was a world fight right there. So when you become Rasta, you in the fight because you're doing something new. So this is still new to society. So when we come in with something new, then there's definitely going to be a fight. It's not going to be sweet in Jamaica. They treat dreadlocks crazy in Jamaica, they kids at school. In Africa, they kick the Rastas out of school in Africa. In several countries, they had to fight to get their kids back in school. So as a Rasta, it's a fight against the system, wherever you at. Whether you're in Trinidad, Jamaica, America, Africa, it's a fight. No matter where you at. So this doesn't change anywhere, because Rasta is anti the system and anti-colonialism. So Rasta is an anti-colonial mentality, and it's a fight. It's a fight. It's not going to be easy. It's not an easy road, because you're going against the system. So no matter where we at, I is constantly in the same fight. We're in the same fight all across the world. Rasta's in the same fight. The young lady down there in Jamaica, she was in the car. They pulled out the car, took the young girl to jail, cut her dreadlocks off. The police officer, they held the police officer accountable, went to court and threw it out, let the police officer go for cutting somebody's child's hair off. It was a clear violation of this young girl's rights. You see what I'm saying? So they violated this young girl's rights. So, even down in Jamaica, they violated the young girl's rights. So all across this world, Rasta in the same fight. People want to fight against us because this is new. This is still new. This is still brand new. It hasn't been accepted. That's why we passed the Crown Act here in the United States. So the sisters go where they have. Because it's a Babylon system. Worldwide, we fighting it. So it ain't no difference in the fight we fighting here in Jamaica. You could be in Chicago and get a break, but you could be in Oklahoma City and get treated totally different. So it's a war, constantly. It's a constant war to push the line against the Babylon system. And it doesn't make no difference if you are in America, Jamaica, whatever. It's a war. It's a war against identity, your own identity. The world's been colonized. And in this colonization, the vibe is to have everybody emulate a European way of life. And once they get so many Black people to go along with that, then that becomes the status quo. That becomes the norm. So now, once over so many decades and that they got Black people emulating a European mentality, then these Black people try to subject everybody to that mentality. And then it just becomes a rule of law everywhere, that they want everybody to look like what they say you should look like and carry yourself what they say you should carry yourself as. So this war, it don't matter where you at, it's the same war. But think about the fact that all the way in Africa, they telling youth they can't go to school with dreadlocks. And it's just ridiculous. If you knew some of the things went on in Africa, you wouldn't even believe it. And it's just a worldwide problem. So it's not just limited to the United States. This is a worldwide headache that we got to deal with. And, in some countries where they go Islamic, they bring in their own laws. So people are dealing with this in many kind of ways across the world. You know, they come in with an Islamic regime. All of a sudden, the women can't drive cars. They can't dress a certain kind of way. They can't do this. You can't do that. You can't do this. So, you know, brethren, it's just like a lot of Islamic states. They come in, they change the rules. They'll come in, make everybody got to cut their dreadlocks off. Every woman got to put a shirt on. No woman can drive a car. So this is a worldwide fight all the time, brethren. Worldwide.
Right. Y'all hear that, viewers? It ain't no different from us. We still going through the same shit, no matter where we at.
Bro, and the girls, they got to wear their bald head when they go to school. Girls can't have no hair on their head. In Ghana.
Yeah, I remember hearing that.
Can't have no hair on their head because they say they don't want to have type of sex appeal or nothing because it messes up their schoolwork. So the girls have low self-esteem and everything.
Dang. Shit.
So this fight we on a serious fight, and then serious rosters all over on the fight. And then you got certain people that's reggaeites or garbyites, and you really can't. You know, one thing when you're a roster, you don't listen to nobody. Just do your thing. Because you don't know their mentality as a roster, where they at with it. They'll tell you anything. You know, I ain't gonna sit up and talk no Jamaican and let him tell me nothing about, because I don't know where his mentality at. Like, how legitimate is he? Yeah, you from Jamaica, but that don't mean you know nothing. You know, you might not even really represent Rasta in the purest. You just trying to pretend you a Jamaican like you know something about Rasta. You don't know nothing.
Facts.
You just a Jamaican. You don't even know no Rasta history. You don't even carry Rasta like that. But you think I'm up here, you think as you're a Jamaican, you can run the fake Rasta talk on me. Nah, man.
Shit, what they call them, rent-a-dreads?
Yeah, a lot of times it's people that don't even really know the knowledge and stuff like that. So they just will tell you anything. You know, they don't know the knowledge like that.
Okay, what was the next thing I want to ask? When it came up to this. Now, oh crap. That's up Congo, Israel. Too much twisting. Yeah, let's talk about that. The whole beautification of Rasta, the whole beautification of dreadlocks. How did it get from Nazi Congo to these sister locks, brother locks, granny locks, all these two-strand twists? Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I don't no longer have that problem. But at one point during my journey, I caught myself having a problem with people who twisted their hair. It was like almost like an imitation. I saw it almost like an imitation of it. Like they're trying to mimic what their hair they're doing their hair in a sense to make it look presentable to society. Like in a sense, I look at twisting like you're bowing.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta make yours look like old girls' plaits. Because I came from that same background. At first, because I didn't know any better. When I grew up, the only way we knew how to do our hair out was the two-strand twist. Take two strands of your hair, twist it together. You got locked. We didn't know anything about. My generation didn't know anything about what they call it freeform now.
Right.
Yeah, but and then you got the wicks and everything, but we didn't know anything. We didn't know anything about that our hair could do this natural. And it wasn't. And when I did find that out, and I stopped twisting, I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things I regret doing when I first got into this. I kind of started looking down on the ones who would twist their hair because it was like, to me, I saw it as, I saw it as them like balancing the system. Like you gotta beauty yourself up when this ain't no pretty thing. Locks wasn't a pretty thing.
Right.
We didn't put this thing on our head to look pretty. To
Right.
go around with the nice edge up and with a nice edge up and all that stuff, and all that. And to the point you twist your hair so much that most of the people I know who I grew up with when I was little, they have dreads. They either cut them off because they were going bald, or they have like 2 or 3 still hanging on in the back, and they're still trying to hold on to it. But they're literally hanging on to the thread because of how the twisting they do. Because the twisting method damages your hair.
Right.
A lot of people don't know that the twisting method destroys your hair. You're literally, because when I used to get my hair twisted, the lady would literally rip the ones that were growing together. She'd
Right.
rip them apart. I mean, you could hear the tear.
Right.
And I was tender-headed. I was a tender-headed little dude. Like, and that sound didn't make it no better.
Right.
And then they twist it together and stuff. That will call baldness. That will call baldness. So let's talk about the twisted method. When did that actually come into play? And if so, why did it come into play?
Well, people start seeing rosters. Some rosters got different type of hair. So different rosters have different strain hair, different type of hair. And they start seeing brothers with real long locks and stuff like that. So, it became popular. We fought hard. Instead of something, you become popular. And then, black people going to take a hairstyle and then they're going to take it all over the place. So my thing is, I don't like it when it's feminine. So I only deal with the feminine side of it, but I don't deal with the roster aspect of it, because the roster, we don't really business nobody but ourselves. So roster, all you do is what you do. And whatever the next person do, hey, that's just, it is what it is. So as a roster, really self-reflecting, not really that much paying no attention pretty much to what nobody else is doing, because people going to do all type of stuff.
Right.
So basically what you see is you just see black people being black people. When I first used to start my dreads in the 70s, people used to say, ooh, I bet if you, blacks used to say, boy, I bet if you get a perm, it really be long. People, it's like, they don't know no better, So they be like, you can make it pretty and you could do this. So, they trying to style it and stuff like that. So it's just basically, we're going to take it all over the place. Basically, those that's holding it a certain type of way, hold it a certain type of, if, brothers putting gold in their hair and making gold blonde and all that, they just, it's a hairstyle for them and they think it look good. So that's not really roster. Roster is a very detailed concept. So everybody go dreadlocks, because you got Swami in India with dreadlocks, they not roster. You got hippies with dreadlocks, they not roster. So just because you got dreadlocks, that ain't really roster, because you can't be roster without Rastafari. Rastafari is based off of Rastafari. So if you ain't dealing with His Majesty, and you can do whatever, you ain't really no roster. You just somebody out doing something, and really more power to you, because you still putting the image out there, and eventually the youth will get it right. Eventually the youth will grow their hair natural, will start eating natural, and it's a process. Because a lot of brothers that start twisting their hair, now they got free. So let everything play itself out. But it's basically just roster is a full concept, and like here in Chicago, when I started growing dreadlocks, hardly nobody had them. When I went to the in there 4 months, I was one of the only people in there with dreadlocks. And now dreadlocks is a criminal. So now dreadlocks is gang members got dread. So the image of dreadlock now a gang member. So that just how things have changed. You know, in Chicago, the image of a dreadlock is a dreadhead savage. The Chief Keef and them type, they took over the image now. They got a newspaper where they put all the people get arrested, and you look, and it's all brothers with, it's like 80% brothers with dreadlocks in jail.
Straight mug shots where you can see everybody who got arrested and what they got arrested.
Yeah, and
we got it down here.
Yeah, so the dreads have went to the regular brothers, and they still getting in trouble. But the concept is still there. And see, righteousness always prevails. So even if they go to the right, if you go around this way, you're going to run into Jah. If you go that way, you're going to still run into righteousness. So they might run around, but it's still going to lead back to righteousness. So it's those of us to hold it down and wait for everybody to catch up and not really get discouraged by what they're doing.
Fact. So when it comes to fellowship, when it comes to any other place, if you go to the rosters in Ghana, there's a large fellowship there. If you go to the rosters in South Africa, there's a large fellowship there. The population of Rastafarians in South America, in South Africa, I think even eclipsed Jamaica.
Yes, 2 million.
Yes. So and what I've seen the difference when it comes down from all these other places when it comes compared to us is there's more fellowship there. There's more of us there's more of them in reaching distance. You know what I mean? And before doing this, hey, I thought I was the only roster in the Carolinas.
Right.
That actually was from here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, until I met Ja Daniels, he's from North Carolina.
That's because the rosters couldn't get no job. So when the rosters couldn't get no job, they had to sell weed. They had to have weed houses and shit. Now they getting green cards. So now when they keep getting busted for weed, they all got deported.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of rosters is gone. A lot of rosters that would have been here to build the foundation, they back in Jamaica because they couldn't get no job. So the only way Rasta could make a money is either sell food, sell weed, throw reggae shows, or fix cars. That was it. So that's why the Rasta movement here in Chicago and everywhere, a lot of my brothers got deported. That's why you don't see reggae everywhere and stuff like back in the 80s and the 70s, because deported all the brothers out of here. That's what knocked the movement down like that. Hurt everything bad. You can't really have fellowship in America like you can in like third world places. Because America, you got to work like your ass off. There ain't no whole lot of time for hanging out here. You got bills to pay and children and a wife. You ain't got no lot of time like that.
Right.
America's set up totally different.
And unless you own property, you gotta reserve space. And most of the time you gotta pay for that space.
Yeah, you gotta pay for that space, yeah.
That's why I wanted I spoke to Nikes, the queen who also does a lot of episodes with me. I posed the question that I wanted to have. You know how Sonetta has the Committed Conference, right?
Right.
I wanted to try to put together a Rastafari conference for us over here, at least for us over here on the Pacific Coast.
That's good.
On the East Coast, East Coast conference for at least for us to not for us to damn it. Not for us to like get like for us to like discuss like not for us to get on one doctrine or something. That's not what I'm trying to. What I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to put it together for fellowship.
Right.
Because we need to know. Because we need to know where I and I is. We need to know that that we got brothers and sisters near us. The fellowship is important. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a standalone because at the end of the day, Rasta stands alone when it comes up in the world. Rasta stands alone. Period. But fellowship is important, especially for us over here, because the struggle is easier when you have somebody here doing it with you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or you know somebody who's not just who you talk to on the phone or just talk to like via like I'm talking to you right now. Someone you can actually, take time out and drive to. You know what I mean? If I took time, I could actually get in the car and drive the goddamn. And I mean, it's not that bad. It's not a long drive. Um, if if I wanted to make vacation time, I could probably come out, stay, make some time in Chicago to see you in Congo and stuff, or go see Niggas in Miami. It's nice to know that there are places where you can go and still have someone you can fellowship with and know the area where okay, you can eat here, this is cool. You can eat there, this is cool. Right. There's a place, there's a nice shop, where you can get this type of stuff, that type of stuff. Because one of the hardest things about being American Ross is the fact that it's harder for us to get on to the better living because we're surrounded by junk food. We are completely surrounded by junk food, and we don't really have. And we like to eat out. We like to eat out. Whether I mean, cooking at home is food, but as Americans, we like to eat out.
That's the thing. The problem I have, Rasta, is we did the fellowship and all of that, but the reason it failed is because there's no business associated with it. In 2023, 2022, 2023, Rasta got to do business. Our fellowship got business based. If you go to South Africa, it's 2 million or 4 million Rasta got the number, but they're in business. They control the fruit. A lot of them are multi-millionaires. A lot of them are millionaires.
Uh-huh.
A lot of them Rastas in South Africa are millionaires or got a lot of money because they're doing business. If you look at Rasta and his glory in America, the basics of it was business. We ran the reggae. We was the bands. We controlled the ganja. It was business related. And so, I tried to get Rasta to start a cab company. It went in one ear and out the other. Rasta got to go in business. If you look at other groups, they go in business. Muslims from other countries, they come here, they go in business. Rasta got to go in Rasta business to bring forth the food, the way we want our hair, the music we wanted, the clothing we want. We have to. Why we don't have designer clothes? Why don't Rasta got designer clothes? Why don't Rasta? That's the next level.
We too busy letting the Chinese make it for us.
That's the next level. And then when we do that, you'll automatically be socializing. You'll be doing business and socializing at the same time. You see what I'm saying? So the future of Rasta is business. We got to get into business together. We got to do business. Down in Jamaica, all that red, gold, and green stuff, all that stuff coming from China and India.
Mm-hmm.
Rasta not even manufacturing their own colors. Rasta not making their own T-shirts, nothing. That stuff being made in China.
Why you brought up T-shirts? Shout out to this brand. They have a shop. They have a shop in Colombia. Anybody who's in Columbia, South Carolina, please look them up. Reggae vibes. Please look them up. I really need to start making sure I go back and put these things in the descriptions and the comments and stuff, so people will know where to get these things in.
So that's the thing. Rasta, you know, Rasta play reggae, but Rasta don't make no guitars, don't make no drums. Rasta don't make no keyboards, no amplifiers. So I mean, this is where we got to go. You know, Bob Marley should have came out with a guitar. Why? Where's the Bob Marley guitar? Where's the Peter Tosh guitar? So it's just like, you know, in 2022, we can't try to do what we was trying to do in 1980. It's time to upgrade. And we have to go into business. And won't nobody hire us, why don't we start the corporation and hire ourselves? Why don't we start the corporation? Why aren't we doing property management? Why a bunch of Russians get together and buying property, getting into that? Why Russians get together, open up franchise restaurants all across the country? This is the future, because we got to feed our children. So that's the future. We get together instead of just getting together, smoking weed and beating drums. I'm not really with that. We need to get together and take care of some business. These other people hire us, they ain't gonna give us a dime. We still got to eat. So that was my beef with a lot of Rastas. They didn't want to get together. I told them we had a big reggae street here on Clark Street. I told them, let's start a cab company, man. Rastafari Cab Company. Get us some red, gold, and green cabs and go down there on Clark Street. Everybody gonna want to get in them cabs. We got reggae music playing. We got videos playing. Cabs all royal looking in the inside. Right now, we would have been rich. That thing would have still been big in Chicago. Instead, we didn't get in the business. The whites came and took that reggae strip, Clark Street, took it. It ain't no reggae nowhere on Clark Street. It was reggae clubs all up and down Clark Street. They had reggae, Club Dread, Wild Hair, Down Street, all that's white. Ain't no Rastas down there. Ain't no black people down no more.
That's
See what I'm saying? Ain't nobody nowhere because we won't get together and take care of no business as a big group. We won't get together as a group and take care of business. Like brothers want me to join the Ethiopian Federation, all that. But for what, bro? They talking about donate some money, Federation, we're gonna go to Ethiopia and do all this magic stuff. Bro, that stuff ain't gonna work, man. We need to be on some business.
Didn't one of their representatives say get on a matter of fact, have you ever seen this documentary called Coping with Babylon?
Nah, probably I might have seen it. I probably just didn't know the name of it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, there's what's his name? Man, he's with the he's real big with Ethiopian World Federation. His last name is Fox. Something like that. Abona Fox or something like that.
Right.
Real Ethiopian name, and he was saying he said some things that at the time when I first saw the documentary I wasn't ready to hear. Like he said Shashamani is basically dead. Like almost like ever since that new government took over, Shashamani is basically dead. I mean, they're basically the land is being shrunk slowly and slowly. The land known as Shashamani is becoming smaller and smaller. That's
right.
His name. That's his name. Thank you. Thanks, Congo.
Right. I got in a lot of trouble for that because when they went over there, I said they was gonna die over there, and people said they wasn't Rasta. Wasn't nowhere without no gun, man. Defend myself. I ain't going out with Ethiopia without no gun. Later for that. I'm not going nowhere without no gun to defend myself. None of that represents His Majesty. If you look at Menelik and you look at Ras Makanen and that first war they had with Ethiopia, they had a lot of guns. And they armed some Eritrean soldiers too. And Italy lost that war. Ethiopia won that war when His Majesty Father headed up the military for Menelik. But when Rastafari becomes Haile Selassie and run the country, he trying to get the Ethiopians to get more guns, to get more ammunition, to get more weapons. They didn't want to do it. So now next thing you know, Italy go back and regroup They come with tanks, they come with sophisticated weapons, and almost wiped Ethiopia out. And so the black man, you know, Rasta got to get in the business. Rasta is supposed to control reggae, supposed to be controlling the radio stations, supposed to be controlling certain television stations so we can get the imagery out there. Should be making instruments to play the music, clothes, food, weapons, transportation. I mean, this is the future. We can't keep saying we Rasta, but we buying stuff from people that ain't Rasta. You know, it don't make no lot of sense to me. You know, it's time, we philosophize too much and it ain't on no business. Like, all that philosophizing is cool. You know, we do a lot of philosophy. We need to be on some business. You know, I've been philosophizing for years. But, man, now we go back, we got bad for it. They ain't making no sense to me. And you know, I was always a different type of guy. I never got up. I had to work for myself. So I was out selling wares like this, selling. I was always working. I was always living. I was a vendor. I was, you know, up to $10,000 merchandise every week because I didn't have to live in. But a lot of rock, they didn't want to work. They didn't want to work and do that. You go to the reggae show, they just walk weed. They letting everybody be the vendor make money. I wanted the few Rasta vendors at a reggae event. They got European people coming to the reggae selling more stuff than the Rastas. You know what I'm saying? So it's time. If it ain't no economic development, man, where we going?
Shit.
Why
My damn thumbs.
Rasta said, but Rasta ain't in the weed not as legal. Rasta says ITAC. Rasta don't run the vegan industry. Rasta says ITAC. Now you got the I. We don't want to put the I. We don't want to say I. Now you got I.
Right.
Our stuff, we not getting nothing from our stuff. We're supposed to run the vegan industry. Rasta was saying, how long Peter Tosh legalized marijuana? How long Peter Benson did medicinal? But yeah, we don't run dispensaries in Africa. That's because we unify on business. And not just Rasta, Pan-African, FBA, all the business is all ideology, no business. No business. Where the IDOs, where the FBA, what we do?
Not a damn thing.
You go to Jamaica, they ain't making nothing. Indians in China controlling all that tourism. Muda Baruka was just talking about. If you go to the beach, you're going to buy a Barbary towel from India.
Wow.
Jamaican flags, all the Jamaican flags in China made fine. With the wrong colors on it. Muda had a fit.
Wait, they outsourcing the flag? Their own country's flag?
They outsourcing the Jamaican flag.
Damn, even America make their own damn flags, and America outsource every damn thing. But at least we'll have at least an American. They'll at least have an American flag. White people ain't that damn crazy.
So, but if you go to social media, black folks just classifying. They don't want no business.
Wow.
You can't get 10 of us to beat drums and listen to music, but you can't get 10 together to do no business.
Sure. Maybe that conference should be a workshop. Maybe it should be a conference/workshop.
It gotta definitely be about business. You can still add the socializing in there, but we got to get on some business. How we gonna feed our family? If another man, you got to work for another man, he could tell you, well, you want to work for me, you got to cut your hair. So how you going to survive? Once you work for another man and another man control your money and control your livelihood, he can dictate everything. There's no reason, you know, black people, the first thing we say is homeschool. Homeschool. You know why we say homeschool? Because we don't want to get together and open schools like the Lutherans did, like the Catholics did. We say homeschool. With all this money we throw away in this country, we can't build no real schools. We can't have our own black conscious schools. We throw enough money away on designer clothes and fancy cars and jewelry. We got people that give us the money. We just got to get together and show them that we're going to do something with it. I hear it all the time. They say, why the rich people don't do nothing? That's because we the ones got to get together. They'll give us the money, but we can't expect them to give us the money and start it. If we start something, they'll fund it. They'll fund it, but we got to go start it. That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? That's the future. You know, that's the future. And and so I missed a lot of foolishness, me growing up at a roster, because I'm a businessman. So I didn't have, you know, every restaurant I went to, I work. I ain't go to restaurants as customer. I went there to sell. You know what I'm saying? I never was there just walking around spectator. I didn't go to many reggae shows as a spectator. I was always a vendor. I go see Black Crew and make $3,000.
Damn, that's what's up.
I ain't there standing there. Who coming to dinner? Guess who coming to dinner? Guess who made the dinner? You did. You know what I'm saying? You coming to dinner, but when you gonna cook the dinner?
For real.
You know what I'm saying? That's the future for all black people, especially Rasta. Rasta take over this business. We supposed to be dispensaries. We supposed to be having shops like Nipsey Hussle open and high-end clothing line. We supposed to have the red, gold, and green Wallaby shoes, all that type of stuff. We supposed to really be pushing
the standard.
Yeah, making money. Because other than that, the other man can just tell you, you're going to have to cut your head to work for him. We're supposed to be doing the construction companies, our own construction companies. All of that.
And we damn sure supposed to have the welding industry down pat, because Rastas will not. That was the main job you've ever seen a Rasta do, is a welder.
Exactly. All of them mechanics. We're supposed to have a whole bunch of show tires where you got to get tires changed, a transmission, all that. We that.
All right. Now, especially when it comes to this marijuana business, because I will say this: there is no excuse why we shouldn't have the marijuana business down pat in America. When they finally legalized it in Jamaica or decriminalized it or whatever they did, and they started opening up vendors and stuff, they purposely let the foreigners come in and control the marijuana business, because Jamaica is a tourist base. They're tourist base, so they openly let the foreign people come in and create the cannabis industry, while the locals who went to jail, who would risk going to jail for this crap, have to jump through loops just to even get their license.
Yeah, but the Rastas, the Rastas was on some bums. Look, man, Rita Marty gave them that land up there, right, and they kicked them off. They didn't build nothing. They didn't build no type of medical centers. They didn't grow no food.
All right.
They just up there. They didn't grow no food. Just up there, Biggie beat drum, smoke weed. Bro, they didn't do nothing with the land.
Yeah.
They had Bob Marley and Rita gave them a lot of land. They developed nothing. They didn't make no money off that land.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Marley family want to take it back. The Marley family make money. They went and got they got t-shirts. They got marijuana business. They doing business, but rock too much for lifetime. No, don't want to go to sleep up and work together. See, the only way you're going to be able to get together and learn how to treat each other is through business. Business is the key to teach you how to treat each other. Because you got to come to work. Can't come to work. Can't come to work. You got to come to work to get the work done. So that sets the standard to teach you how white people get their head. Because they go to work together. So they learn how to deal with each other without being offensive. Because they got to work 5 days a week. So this is what black people, that's why we behind. That's why we're offensive. That's why it's hard to get along with, because we ain't making no money together. We don't go to work together. So as far as Rasta, if anybody, Rasta got to get in the business. That's the key to our success. If I want to buy a big drum, where I get that? Ain't nobody up here making none. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Shit. I had to buy a drum. I had to get a drum set one time from this little novelty shop that you drive through. I don't know if y'all ever heard of it, south of the border. It is little cheap little amusement park that be in Dillon County. I had to buy a drum from them, and I think the drum was from Japan or something. I don't know.
See, we got that's cool. We got to get in the business.
Good job.
You know, that's the future of us. If we're gonna go anywhere.
I think this is from India.
Yeah, we gotta get it. We gotta go into business. We gotta control all that. All them cultural novelties and stuff. There should be huge companies making multi-millions sending that stuff across. That means if you're a part of a company and it's 500 of y'all got a big entity making this stuff. Now I, vendor, order my stuff wholesale from y'all and make my money. And my money's going back to Rasta. So now I can order my stuff from y'all manufacturing. I could call you, send me at these high slots, so many drums, this, that, and that. Go in the neighborhood, sell it like that.
All right.
Then you take that money, get farm. Now you can start opening fruit stands, restaurants, and all that. Look at the Ethiopians got restaurants. Rasta's supposed to have nice restaurants.
That's another thing. Why aren't we in control? I'm not saying all right, let me put this another way, because I don't want to feel like I'm undercutting Ethiopians, but why aren't we selling we all about Ethiopia? Why aren't we selling Ethiopian food?
Because we ain't no business.
Because even when you find a West Indian shop, when they so-called have a West Indian restaurant, they so-called have a vegan menu. It's basically just cabbage, rice, and peas, and two plantains. It's lackluster. But when I actually went to that Ethiopian restaurant, food like that will make you want to eat better.
Yeah, but Ethiopians is getting ingredients shipped from Ethiopia. Indians is getting stuff shipped from India.
Yeah. But these African shops are all over the place. African grocery stores are all over the fucking place. It is. I can go to Florence. I can go to Florence right now and find a little African grocery store, or find one of these Korean grocery stores that sell African products.
Right.
It always kind of got on my nerve that whenever we do have restaurants, whatever, it's just how to put it, kind of like Jamaican soul food in a sense.
Because so if African Americans open restaurants, we should have American natural food.
All right.
Because Ethiopians, of course, they don't sell Ethiopian food, but we identify Ethiopian, but we Africans born in America.
Right.
So we need to corner that market. We need to have all natural restaurants, our food, but we got natural cornbread. We got collard greens, mustard greens, a string bean, black eyed peas, and get the money.
Right. You know how many people? You know how much money a person? You know how much money a person who sells collard green sandwiches make? And I'm talking about without. You know, I'm talking about that. Like down here, people stop putting meat in their collard greens. So whenever there's like a big festival or something, there's always somebody selling collard green sandwiches, and they always sell out. They only out there for about 30 minutes before they got to shut down and go to the grocery store.
Exactly.
Yet nobody's selling this on a daily basis.
Exactly. So but then we don't have the big restaurants because we don't think like restaurant, music hall. We always think small. But yet, if we get together, we can do big things. Car rent, all this type. Like it's time to really, step our game. But it looked like these people gonna go cash the society before we even get our stuff together. They see us, so they're gonna shut the shit down. You can see afraid of that black dollar. So now they're gonna get rid of dollars. Right when you get ready to make some money, they're gonna make cash. So it's looking like to me.
All right. So basically, while we still can, we need to go ahead and try to corner the market the way we know how to, while we still can do it that way.
Yeah, but it's get us to be a we. We're not a we. It's one of the big conversations I'll be having. Like, we are not a we. To be a we have to really be a we. And we're not a we. A we is a we. Get together and do stuff. We're not a we. Not black houses in America or black people in America. We're not a we. So a lot of times we said we should do that. First,
only when our feelings are hurt. First,
we need to become a we.
Mm-hmm.
If you go downtown cities, you're gonna see white people in rush hour get that money. Go to any city at 9 in the morning, 8:30 in the morning, and tell me who you see to the downtown America to get the money.
Sure.
And that's what's in everything. So now with all these people getting sick and stuff like that, we're supposed to take over the food industry, the natural food, whole food, we're supposed to take over. Man, if I got with somebody and we open big red, gold, and green stores, Whole Foods, where all plant-based food in there, we'll get rich. We'll make $1 billion. Everybody get that ethnic experience, that item food. We'll make all the money.
I haven't forgotten the mission you gave me, Elder. But it don't look like it's gonna be a restaurant. It look like it might Ones and Ones want a grocery store.
That's right.
Because you hear more. We're hearing more and more people talk about how food don't taste the same.
Right.
And how they're scared to go into grocery stores and pick fruit because they see more and more fruit without seeds in them and stuff.
Yeah, if you get a grocery store will make it so somebody can open a restaurant. Because you open a grocery store, now you're getting the produce, you're getting the food. Now I can open a restaurant and get extra stuff for me, back rates that I can come to. So one business builds another business. No matter what business it is, one business can grow, and then other businesses grow off of that business. That's why if you look at America's society, if you go on any strip where there's one business, it's a whole bunch of businesses there. It's never just Chipotle. It's never just Burger King. You go over there, be Burger King, McDonald's, everybody be in that. Because one business makes money for all the business. That's how we. So if it's a grocery store, that'd be. Because the grocery store, I make it easy to get a restaurant. Because you're already getting the food wholesale. So you get a grocery store, start popping up the money, put some brothers to the side, say, I'll go open up a restaurant. We're going to sell some of this food in the restaurant. How could you look? You got a store full of food, and you got someone cooking and sell somebody. Shut the game down.
And the best place would be in the South, because where else better place to grow food? We already got nothing but land out here for motherfuckers to buy. I need to utilize the land I have.
Grow food, get it from black farmers, get the store growing, then franchise the store. Next thing you know, the store be all across the country. Look at Walgreens. Look at CVS.
Yeah, look at Buc-ee's. Look at Buc-ee's.
So that's the future. Business is the future. Business is the only way we're going to socialize. The only thing that's going to get us together that's really going to get something. That's the key.
All right. Now, I guess the next question would be, how do we get ones and ones to do this? Because what I've learned is starting a business, it's easy to dream of the business, but it's harder to actually start it, especially when you're counting on ones and ones to get this started. Let's say a group of you come together and say, all right, we're gonna do this. Y'all basically moving like a centipede. And if three of the legs ain't moving, then the centipede ain't gonna be sitting. Everything is just gonna drag down.
The key is this: anything you want to do, let's say this is an arrow, and you want to kill an animal, put the arrow in the bow and you shoot it, and the arrow hits the animal and the animal dies. But the key is this: this big arrow ain't no good without the point. Without that little point, the arrow won't go in. So you don't need a lot of people. You just need the little point to go ahead and do it. And then the rest to come. So let's say me and you and a bunch of people got together. We say we want to start a store in this, and everybody, three of us. Then us three will roll our sleeve up and go start. Then next thing you know, it'll be 4, 5, 6. Because once we start it, it's going to grow. More serious going to come. And now we're in a hiring position where we can hire. No, it's not a position no more. It's a job. You're going to come in and do the job or your ass is fired. So now that put us in a position to wean out the people that want to play and bring in still serious employees and really build something. So you might have to start 2 or 3 people. And then what you do, what a lot of people don't understand, when you say you're going to start, what you do is 3 y'all. Then you want to start it. Then you run into a wall. Cool. Because you didn't even know that wall was there. So you got to run into that wall in order to go back and say, okay, how do we get over this wall? Then you go over the wall. But you ain't going to even go over the wall because you don't even know it's a wall because you don't even start. So when you start something, you run into the obstacle, and then you develop a way to get over the obstacle.
So basically, the ultimate answer to all our problems is just to start on the solution.
It's just every time you run into a wall, you go, okay, how are we going to get over this wall? And then you will get over it. You will get over it, but you'll never go nowhere because you thinking this wall's up there. So you don't even get to the wall. That's how business is. When I started a record label, that's how it was. Started a record label, I didn't know what I was doing. I had to figure this out, then this. How do I do this? How do I do that? And then you figure it out. That's the key. You just start. You know, you start. If you want, you know, whatever you want to do, you start. You get together and you start. And you go from there. So if a bunch of y'all want to start a store, right? I'll give you a perfect example. A bunch of people want to start a store. You start having your meetings for people to get together, right? Because you want to open a store. All right. I'm gonna wait till the brother come back because I don't want him to miss this. So bro, let's say you want to start a store. You want to open a store. What a lot of people don't understand is a lot of the things you have to do at first is almost free or highly called. Because if you want to start, the first thing is, what's the name of the store? So all this stuff is easy to do. So the first thing, what are we going to call the store? So you get the name of the store. It's free with a name for the store. Then you get an EIN number, the tax number. That's also free.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, EIN for free. You go EIN, they're going to give you a number. That's your EIN. Now you got the name. Then you get up a couple monies, go to Fiverr somewhere and get the logo developed. So all the other things of the store ain't cost you pennies. The email address for the store. So if you want to call one store, you go get one store at Yahoo, one store at you get the EIN number for one store. You get the logo design for one store. Then you go back and get the domain name, www.onestore.com. You ain't got no store, but you got all the pieces that you're going to need anyway. It's some things you need before you even get a store. So you go get all that stuff. So now you're a store without even having a store. Because you got your logo, you got your name, you got your email address, you got your EIN, you got your domain. You rocking and rolling.
True.
So now you're at least at the point where you can go and find a place and say, okay, here's a place here. They want to let us rent this for $1,200. We want to raise $12,000. You pay $10,000. You can go fundraise that with donations.
Okay, now for the viewers,
Right.
Start from the top again.
Okay, the first thing you want to do is come up with the name of the business.
Okay.
Then the next thing you want to do is go to www.register to search, see if you can get the domain name. Because if you can't get the domain name, you want to change the names so you can find a name that domain is open for. So if you want one store and you go check, and it's like, oh, I can't get www.one store, you say Zion, and you go and it's www.zion store is open. Boom, you grab www.store.com.
Okay.
Because most likely, if that domain is there, nobody got that business. He had that business, that would be there. Now that domain costs $35, $5. But if you open the store and somebody else get it, they can sell that domain $5. So you paying $5 domain that you could have got $5.
All right.
So now you got the name of the store, you got the domain. Now you go to Gmail and you get one store at, you go to Yahoo, you get one store at Yahoo. And then you go to Fiverr, Fiverr. That's somebody design logo.
One more time.
Fiverr, Fiverr. And you find your logo. And you go and you search EIN number, but make sure you go to the one say IRS. It's gonna say IRS for your EIN, right? And you get your EIN in that name. That's not your LLC. That's what you need before you get to or the corporate. And you get an EIN in that name, right? Hold on, I'm gonna show you. You're gonna go to. It's gonna say.
Pay attention, viewers. Y'all better be writing this down like I am.
It says IRS.gov/number. You go to their page.
All right.
And then you find. That's not it. That's not it. No, it's IRS. It's IRS. It's gonna look like this.
Oh, okay, there.
You go to IRS. Don't go to the other ones because it's a scam. Make sure you go to IRS.
Same place y'all go to, like if y'all go. Matter of fact, ain't that the same website you go if you were gonna check when your income tax check will come?
I think so.
All right.
And then it says apply online. You may apply for EIN, apply online. Then you're gonna go here. It's gonna tell you the time they open. And you're gonna see a little thing say apply. That blue thing say apply. And when you push apply down, boom. It's gonna take you to the page. It's gonna say begin. You hit begin out. Then it's gonna ask you sole power or LLC. How you rocking it, bro? So now when you do these things and you get your EIN, name of the business, you got your name of your business, you got your domain, you got your email, then you go social media, lock that down. So you go get your Twitter account, your Instagram account, open up a Facebook page, your main Facebook page, everything in the name of the business. So that way when you get your logo, you just go put your logo on your Instagram, on your Facebook, logo on your Twitter, and you're ready.
And that's for any business.
That's for any business. That's how I do it.
I'm glad you said that, because I've been checking, because there's a lot of people who use the name Shogun Inc. And that's like my umbrella, that's basically my production company that basically powering all this.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
So there's a lot of people who have that name, but I don't know if they have it like secured.
Right. You have all this is way before you get your trademark. You have to get your trade. But this is just a So now once you get the domain name, once you go pay for the web, then you point the website to the domain. So you're gonna hook your domain in or your website, www.store.com. So now when you open the store, you ain't gotta worry about nobody having the domain. Like if I get an domain, Big One, first thing I do is big1.com. I get everything from Big One. So that way when you get somebody don't go buy, people go buy your domain for $25. Sell it to you for $25. See, I could have for $25, and now I could sell that for $25. So or $1,200. It costs $25. So if you do these things first, you pretty much are in before in business. Because now you got everything. Now all you gotta do is go get business together. Because you're gonna need stuff before you even have the business. Like, yeah, you want to open a store, but what's the name of it? And the name is more important than the store.
Facts, because that's your main drawing power. That name is basically your face.
And it could take you to come up with a name. So 10 names. I pick the best one, then pick the one that's available. If it's not available, register.com, get it. So, you know, one day we can come over and we could just let the whole show on that process in detail. So you can get me here like next week to go through the whole process. I'll show you people.
Please.
All right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm out. Hit me anytime, all right?
Yes, sir. And I appreciate you being on the show. Once again, this is Pharaoh Rameses El-Aton, our esteemed elder, man. We gotta protect this brother, man. He's a dying breed, like a lot of your commenters say, man. You are a dying breed, man. There ain't too many people who's willing to stand 10 toes like you do, man. Amen. And that's why I respect you so much. Man, in fact, you're one of us. You're one of us. I mean, you're Rasta, you're one of us. That's what kind of it puts pride in us over here, man.
Yeah,
so we really appreciate you, man.
I'm not doing nothing we doing, so it ain't what y'all be the same. Yeah, you're gonna be the same. Ain't no big deal. You're gonna be just like.
Oh, Jah willing. One. Bless, man. All right, my viewers, this has been the Kushite Selassie channel. Bless, love. Stay tuned for the grocery store.